Hello, beautiful people. So this is your astrological forecast for next week. As you can see, we are doing things a little bit differently. I'm actually going to share the screen, show you the charts. This is not because I was planning to do this or I think it's better or worse. This is because the environment requires it, let's just say, and there is a continuous need for flexibility. I think it's also with Mars being in a sign of Gemini, it always offers us a choice. We don't always necessarily like it, but the choice is there. So this is the choice I'm taking. This is how I'm going to record this video. Also, my practical application of astrology will very likely be recorded outdoors again, but let's just flow with it. So anyway, guys, as before, I would like to open this space for my higher self and my guides to be present for this recording and to support us on this journey through our evolution as human collective consciousness. So let's begin. Okay, first I'm just going to name the transits and then I'm going to share the screen and show you the charts. Of course, we are going to be predominantly focusing on the upcoming new moon in Leo, which will be taking place exactly a week from now. I'm recording this on Sunday. Whenever you're watching this, the new moon in Leo is happening on August 4th. Which is very interesting, and I will mention it because we had the new moon solar eclipse on 8th of April, 8-4, and this one is on 4-8, 4th of August. So this is an important new moon, let's just say. Okay, so moon currently is still in the sign of Taurus and it will remain there. She will remain there until tomorrow, until technically almost for me here in the UK, almost at the end of the day. And that's when moon will move into the sign of Gemini. We start in the week with technically just moon doing her thing from the sign of Taurus, but there are no other major aspects that I can mention. On Tuesday, as I already mentioned, moon will be already in a sign of Gemini. It will change the sign Monday night, depending where you are in the world, of course. But on Tuesday, we'll be also experiencing Venus from the sign of Leo making a trine to Chiron. Once again, I'm going to mention that everything that I'm talking about, of course, apart from moon, because moon is always moving, but all the other aspects will be present and valid during the upcoming new moon in Leo. So Venus is trining Chiron, and this is on 23 degrees and 32 minutes, 2332, again 5-5, coming up to number 10, number of change, because it's all about closing the cycle and beginning of the new cycle. And the last conjunction between Chiron and Venus took place on April 21st, which was right after the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. And at the time, Venus was the ruler of both Jupiter and Uranus. She's still the ruler of Uranus, but Jupiter, as we know, is now in the sign of Gemini. So this is important to pay attention to, because also Chiron is retrograde, as we know, and Chiron is making us to go deeper and to really reconnect with these wounds that are preventing us from stepping into this new direction that we as a humanity don't really have a choice in not stepping into, let's just say. Okay, so this is a positive supportive aspect. Venus is in the sign of Leo, where she's helping us to reconnect with our inner child and tap into what is our authentic inner expression and what makes us who we really are and what we came here to do. Wednesday the 31st of July, this is Juno will make a trine to Uranus, speaking of Uranus, because of course ruled by Venus, and then Sun in the sign of Leo. As we know, this is where Sun is very powerful because it's in the sign of its rulership. In evolutionary astrology, the 5th house, Leo, and Sun represents the same archetype. So Sun is Leo, is making the trine to the North Node, and just to mention, the conjunction between North Node and Sun, which is what changed everything, because subsequently we had the solar eclipse in Aries. The conjunction between North Node and Sun happened on 4-4 portal. Again, this new moon in Leo is happening on August 4th. So we have some of the repeating numbers, and the 4 is the number of Saturn, is the number of stability, creating the 4 legs of the table, so it will hold, right? So Sun in the sign of Leo supporting North Node in Aries. Again, the new direction is through the heart-centered consciousness, tapping into our heart. And this is on 8 degrees 38 minutes, 8-11. We are in the year number 8 and the number 11, master number frequency, no kidding. Okay, then on August 1st, moon will move into sign of Cancer. This is the sign of moon's rulership, as we know. So this is where we are very intuitive and connected to our intuition. And we also will be moving into a new month, because this is happening on August 1st, which is Thursday. So new month, and yeah, let's see what this one holds in store for us. Okay, Friday the 2nd, Mars will make a sextile to North Node and trine to South Node. Mars is the ruler of the North Node, and Mars currently is in the sign of Gemini. So sextile is a supportive aspect that we do need to do something about. We need to take an action on it. Otherwise, it's not just going to happen on its own. But Mars is trine in the South Node from the sign of Gemini. So it's saying whatever choice we're going to make, as long as we move forward and don't keep going back, like sometimes we do need to go back in order to retrieve an aspect of ourselves to go forward. But as we know, as I was mentioning during the new moon in Cancer, and from then onwards, the new moon in Cancer was squaring the nodes pointing to the North Node in Aries. It's saying we cannot keep getting lost in recreating the same patterns because, oh, this is what happened, or this is what was done to me, because that's Libra, that's the external environment, and us allowing the external environment create our reality. We are always creating it ourselves, but we just give too much power away. So now with this Mars sextile in the North Node from the sign of Gemini, it's saying we have the choice. We have the choice to focus on this new direction and do things differently. And of course, that all comes from discernment, because Mercury is now in the sign of Virgo as the ruler of Mars. And also Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. This is all about discernment and making a choice. How do you want the story to play out for you from now onwards? Because this is the year 8, the year that is associated with Capricorn and Jupiter. We have the opportunity to expand and step into our authority through this choice. But the choice is always ours. We have a free will. It depends on, us, whatever we want to choose, whatever we feel ready to choose. And then on the same day, Venus, as the ruler of the South Node, the one that Mars is trining, is making a square to Uranus. This is a first quarter square. So yeah, I forgot to mention, of course, the Mars conjunction with North Node took place on May 19th, which was right before full moon in Sagittarius. And the last conjunction between Venus and Uranus, that this is the first quarter square of, was on May 18th. So that was also happening simultaneously. May 18, May 19, Venus made a conjunction to Uranus, Mars made a conjunction to North Node, and now Mars is sextile in the North Node, trine in the South Node, and Venus is making a square to Uranus as the ruler of Uranus, and Uranus is the ruler of Pluto and will be for the next 20 years. So this is a first quarter square. Again, first quarter square is a crisis in action that requires for us to do something, to change something. And Venus is in the sign of Leo, which is about creativity, about stepping into authenticity, reconnecting with our joy. And this is how we're going to break that pattern, because Uranus being in the sign of Taurus and have been since 2019 and will remain there on and off until 2026, because we have the first ingress into the sign of Gemini next year, but then Uranus will go back into the sign of Taurus until 2026. This Uranus from the sign of Taurus has been fracturing our sense of comfort zone and so-called stability that comes from survival. Like, oh yeah, as long as my basic needs are met, I'm good. But now with this Venus being in a sign of Leo, and Sun being in a sign of Leo in its most powerful place in its rulership, it's saying that that's not good enough. That's not good enough for this time of Aquarius, age of Aquarius, that Aquarius and Leo come in opposition. It's like a pair, like a couple. So this age of Aquarius is saying we didn't come here to survive. We came here to self-actualize. We came here to step into our purpose. And this is why we keep coming back over and over again, because there are all these stories and all these illusions that we've been passed on to and bought into. And by the time we untangle them, it's like, oh, time is up. We need to go back now. And then we come back again and try again, right? So, this is it. This is it with this age of Aquarius. It's like, yeah, we came here now to step into our purpose, no longer to be told what the purpose is by someone else. So this square between Venus and Uranus is saying, like, just to survive is not enough. It's not enough. It doesn't make people feel fulfilled, which is why so many people are depressed. Even like, with the older generation, they might say, well, it was good enough for me. Why is it not good enough for you? Because the frequency and the energy has changed. It's not about better or worse. It's just different. It's changed. So just to have your basic needs met and have what everybody always had, it's just not what we are here for anymore. We need to feel that we are doing things that are meaningful and purposeful and are allowing us to be who we are, who we truly are, which we are continuously discovering, and it's continuously changing, because your identity is moon keeps going continuously. It goes through the entire zodiac every month. So we are, every month we are becoming different versions of ourselves, because Moon, throughout her transit through the zodiac, it's aspecting and connecting with everything. So everything is always being reactivated. So anyway, that's going into rabbit holes here. But Venus making a square to Uranus on Friday, August the 2nd. And then on Saturday, August the 3rd, Moon is moving into the sign of Leo in preparation for this new moon in Leo, the conception of the new purpose, right? Or stepping into our own purpose. And that, as I already mentioned, is happening on August 4th, which is Sunday. And for me here in the UK, it's going to be happening at 12:12. And it's interesting because actually it is happening at 12 degrees and 33 minutes, which is all this like free, 12, 12, free, all the threes. And free is the Gemini, is the house of Gemini, which is about choice. That's where Mars is. So it's exactly right on time. And also is the number associated with Jupiter, which is about growth and expansion. And in tarot, the number 3 is the Empress, right? Which is about it's about us being able to be not just nurtured, but having the joy and happiness in life, and the fertile ground to grow and manifest whatever we want. Like Empress is Venus, right? But of course Venus rules both Libra and Taurus, which is like, yes, I need to feel my foundation is strong, my roots are strong, like I'm ready to wither whatever the weather conditions, right? And then Libra, and then I can connect with the other, right? Because my inner is fulfilled. And yes, in a sense, yeah, my basic needs, but that's not enough. It's not all there is. Okay, anyway, so these are the transits, in a nutshell. That's what's going on this week. And then when we move into the following week, on Monday the 5th, Venus will move into a sign of Virgo, and Mercury will be stationed retrograde. So already for this new moon in Leo, Venus is on a final degree of Leo, and Mercury is very slow now. Mercury is already in his shadow, has been for about a week or something like that. And Mercury is station in retrograde. So Mercury is really slowing down, and Mercury will be retrograde until almost the end of the month, August the 28th. And during this time it will go back into Leo, and then on 9/9 it will go back into Virgo. So anyway, that's for another conversation. But yeah, what I also wrote here, Venus will be in the sign of Virgo until August 28th, and Uranus, ruled by Venus, will station retrograde on September 1st. But this is, as I said, this is for another video. So now I'm going to share the screens, and we're going to look at the charts, because as I mentioned, everything that I already talked about is going to be present for the upcoming new moon. Okay, so which one is this? I have all 3 charts ready. Okay, this is the full moon one. Okay, so we're going to start where everything actually began, because as I keep continuously repeating myself, the new moon ends with a new moon. So there is no such a thing that the new moon ends with the full moon, or the new moon ends with the next full moon. There is no such a thing. This is illusion. Even though, yeah, there are cycles always being up on the top of the cycle, so nothing truly ends. But this new moon we'll be experiencing on Sunday the 4th is actually closing a cycle that began last year on new moon on August 16th, 2023. And this is the time for the UK, of course. So anyway, so this is what seeded the energy which we right now, until this new moon gets reset, we are still experiencing. And we can see at the time Venus was retrograde. It was a year ago. It was on August 16th, so just over a year ago. Venus was retrograde. We can see Mercury and Mars were both in the sign of Virgo. So that was all about adjustments. As I kept mentioning throughout the year, since the nodes entered into the sign of Libra and Aries, Mars was the ruler. Mars became the ruler of the North Node whilst being in the sign of Virgo. And this is very important because Virgo is the hero journey archetype, which is about us learning and adjusting and continuously changing and growing. And that's what leads us to the self-mastery, which is the Capricorn. And we are in the year of Capricorn. So we can just pay attention and see what's been going on at the time. Of course, Jupiter and Uranus not yet had a conjunction, because this is, still in August last year. Also, Chiron North Node were preparing for the conjunction. So none of that happened that already happened since, you know. So this was like all the preparation. Saturn was on 90 degrees of Pisces, already retrograde. So all this was retrograde. So anyway, you know, we can just see what was going on in the astrological weather. Pluto was actually already back in the sign of Capricorn retrograde. So that was a different energy. We can see it was very different energy. Jupiter in Taurus, you know, Venus was retrograde, closing to the new moon. Actually, we had the few last lunation when Venus was conjunct Sun, but actually Venus was in a new phase with the Sun. Here Venus was behind. So it's saying about this sense of purpose that we thought was our purpose that actually came from other people, because as again we remember, Pluto was squaring the nodes the entire last year. It started whilst the south node was in the sign of Scorpio. We can see during this time the south node already is in the sign of Libra, because the node shifted a month before on July 17th on the new moon in Cancer, actually right after, because during the new moon in Cancer they were still in Taurus and Scorpio. So we can see Pluto was squaring the nodes, pointing to the south node in Libra. Venus as the ruler was in Leo, closing to the new moon. So there was a conception, you know, new moon, as there always is, a conception of an energy that was saying about authenticity. And Venus, as the ruler of the south node that Pluto was squaring, you know, was in a closing phase, retrograde. She said, oh, we need to reevaluate something over here. Like, are we actually living in alignment with our authenticity? Are we showing to the world who we truly are, or are we continuously adjusting ourselves and being who the external environment wants us to be? In which case, the external environment has a lot of control and power in us creating the life that we are experiencing, because we're not allowing ourselves to be authentic and actually present ourselves to the world for who we truly are. And also, the Sun, obviously Sun is in the rulership over here, and we can see Sun was being, the new moon was exactly being squared by Uranus. Just like this week, we have a Venus squaring Uranus, but in this case, Uranus was closing, you know, with regards to Sun, we know something special. So with regards to Sun, Uranus is behind the Sun, which is the closing square. This is the crisis in consciousness. Something needs to change. What needs to change? Well, is the story. You know, the story that at the time has not yet ended, which is the story of Taurus. You know, the sense of our self-worth and our value and what we can and can't do comes from someone else. Because Venus is the rule of the south node, is the resolution node to Pluto squaring the nodes. So this was the story last year. So we had to figure all this out. We had to go from last August to this August, and everything that happened in the meanwhile, you know, we had the first eclipse in Libra, then we had the other eclipse in Libra, the lunar eclipse, then we had the eclipse in Aries, the second one, but, you know, this one was in a new phase conjunction with the North Node. A lot of had to take place, a lot of had to happen between this August 2023 and now. As we know, also this Chiron North Node conjunction, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and all the rest of it. And now we're going to go to the full moon, which was the midpoint. This was in January. This was the first full moon of 2024. So, you know, this is again for British time. You know, at the time, obviously, I was actually in Mexico, but, you know, for the simplicity, I'll just put it all for the same time and for the same place, well, for the same location anyway. So we can see what was going on at that time. This was right after Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius. We can see Pluto is on 8 minutes of Aquarius, because Pluto and Sun had their final conjunction in the sign of Capricorn few minutes before Sun moved into the sign of Aquarius himself on 20th of January, and this happened on January 25th. This was the first full moon of 2024. As I mentioned, why is this not working? Okay, here, January 25th, 2024, first full moon. Full moon is the illumination. So that which got concepted in August 2023, where we had the case of mistaken identity and sense of mistaken purpose, because, you know, who is really, you know, acting, who is really showing the world their true self? You know, most of us, like the moon, you know, it's like, oh, I need to hide who I really am because this world's gonna reject me, because this Capricorn, the opposition, says that I should be a certain way. The structure of reality, structure of society that we are experiencing, that we know is now dissolving, but, you know, Saturn was still on early degrees of Pisces, going retrograde, going like, man, we need to reevaluate this because, you know, still in the Pisces decan, there is a lot of confusion, right? A lot of confusion. Let's see what Neptune was. Oh yeah, Neptune was opposing Mars, of course it was. You know, a lot of confusion, a lot of discernment that we had to build since, you know, since this time. also because of this square, a lot of things that we need to release, this last final square, which is crisis in consciousness, something that we need to let go of so the cycle can end. So this was the midpoint. So we had much more clarity in January. We had much more clarity. We already had this new moon in Capricorn, number 1. We know we have 4 lunations in Capricorn this year. The final one will be on the last day of the year, the second new moon in Capricorn, which is how we will end 2024. So this was the first full moon. And look what's happening here. Pluto is conjuncting the sun. But Pluto here is in a closing phase. We know they had a conjunction, so technically if it was any other planets, 2 planets, it would be a new phase because they just conjunct 4 days prior. But because of the sun, and sun is the center, this has the flavor of the closing phase, which I know logically doesn't make sense, but this is how I was being taught to interpret it. And, this makes sense because with regards to the closing phase on the 0 degrees, and this Aquarius and Uranus being still retrograde at this time, Uranus didn't station direct until I think it was January 27th. It was a few days after. And Uranus was, like I said, still going retrograde at the time. And where is Venus? Oh, Venus is in Capricorn. So Venus is saying still, at this time, actually, Pluto already is not squaring the nose. It moved out of it, but Mars is. Mars was squaring the nodes, and also Mercury was squaring the nodes, and Venus was preparing to square the nodes. She was not yet in the degree, but this Mercury and Mars conjunction, Mercury at this time just stationed direct because Mercury was retrograde until, literally the 1st of January, I believe. So Mercury just actually stationed direct. Mercury just moved back into the sign of Capricorn because Mercury started retrograde as its last retrograde for 2023 in the sign of Capricorn, moved to Sagittarius, gone back into Capricorn. And, here Mercury is in Capricorn already, preparing to square the nodes exact. Mars, they both already squaring the nodes. Skip step, resolution node, south node, ruled by Venus. Venus is in Capricorn. Venus is saying, you need to become your own creator. You need to become your own authority in order to manifest the reality you want to be experiencing that has more deeper meaning to you, because the the meaning that comes from this external, structure of reality is someone else saying that, well, you should achieve all these things and be seen for all this, become all this, and let us tell you what we think you can and cannot achieve. There is the restriction, this moon, like, we look up to this authority and they say, oh, well, I think you're not very good singer, you better not try singing, even though you might like singing. And then that creates this disconnection from your soul and say, oh man, I was being told I sing horribly, so I should not sing. But actually this is something that you like expressing yourself through. Who cares what it sounds like, but your soul likes singing. So this straight away will create a restriction, and we go like, okay, well, I was being told when I was a little girl I better not sing, and now there is this void in my soul, this emptiness, because this is something I really enjoy, you see. So this is just one of the examples how many of us, all of us, were in a sense prompt to externalize our power and say like, oh yeah, well, this person said, and they are the authority, maybe they have some talent or something, and they describe me this way, so now this is my label, this is my identity, you are not a good singer, and that's it for the rest of my life, right? And this create then a belief system, and then we see it manifested in a reality. So if I try to sing again, for sure somebody else is going to tell me, oh, you sing horribly, right? And then again it's going to perpetuate the same suffering because somebody else just told me the same truth, so-called truth, that came from someone else. You see, in this time Jupiter is still closing to Uranus. I mean, obviously there is a big gap between them because Uranus has been going retrograde. Jupiter also was going retrograde until almost the end of December. So they have some catching up to do, but we know that they did catch up on April 20th 2024, which was, like I said, what happened there. There was something that happened there. I know I've just mentioned something on the 21st. What happened just there? Oh yeah, it was the Venus Chiron conjunction on the 21st. I knew something happened there. I already mentioned the date. So yeah, on April 21st, right after that conjunction, Jupiter and Uranus, this we're talking about 2024 here. I know I keep jumping from thing to thing. On April 20th, 2024, Jupiter Uranus had a conjunction. The day later, Venus made a conjunction to Chiron. And of course, we will get to the current chart and we'll see how Venus is still trining Chiron at the moment. So anyway, so what is this telling us? We had this illumination in January, post this Capricorn full moon number 1, which set the theme for the year. This was the first full moon, set the theme for the year, which said, okay, what's gonna be illuminated to us this year is where we are not authentic, where we're not living in alignment, what really matters to us, what holds meaning to us, what makes us happy, what allows us to be who we are, but where we continuously feel restricted, and there is a perpetuation of this story of suffering that our value and sense of self-worth comes from someone else. But actually, no, Venus is saying, no, enough of that. We are now in a year of Capricorn and Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Gemini, and we have a choice. We can change this. You can become a conscious creator of reality and say, no, I decide. I put the boundaries because I feel strong within my core, which comes from Taurus, the core, the foundation. And then Cancer, I'm tapped into my intuition. I am being guided from inside out, and I know who you are. I know who I am. You know who you are. So you don't need some external Capricorn to tell you who you are, because you already know. And the stronger you feel in yourself, the less we care, about what somebody else thinks, because what other people think and believe actually has nothing to do with us. It's that person prerogative to think and believe whatever the hell they want, but it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. So this is this Venus as the ruler of the South Node at the time being squared by Mars as the ruler of the North Node in Capricorn, which is where Mars is in exaltation. There is the joke amongst astrologers that Mars gets up out of the bed every day to become a Capricorn, and this is why I keep saying, and I stand behind it, that the card of Emperor in a tarot, the card number 4, is actually Mars in Capricorn. But anyway, people can challenge me all they want. This is my thought, and this is my opinion, and this is my belief, and I'm entitled to having it. This is the Capricorn. You create your own boundaries, and based on those, you create your own reality. And as long as it doesn't harm someone else, it's all good. Or if you don't try to project our, thing and say like, no, this is the only truth. I'm saying this is my opinion. I'm not saying this is the only truth or the universal truth. I'm saying this makes more sense to me, the way, my brain operates anyway. So without making this too long about the, moons that are already long gone, we can see they were just preparing for the conjunction over here, this Chiron and the North Node. Actually Mars at the time was squaring, Chiron exact. We can see actually exact Mars was squaring the Chiron exact, funny enough, and and this for Mars is a closing square, just like for Uranus was during the time of the new moon in Leo, closing square. Crisis in consciousness. What do we need to release? What needs to shift in our consciousness is that belief that somebody else is in charge. Somebody else has the authority to decide what you can and can't do in your life. And this is why this Uranus in the sign of Taurus has been continuously shaking up our foundation to wake us up from our reverie and from our sleep and say like, no, this is not how it's going to be going forward, because Uranus is the ruler of Pluto, and it will be for next 20 years, even though we do have one more retrograde, during which Saturn will be technically retrograde for almost the entire time. We're talking about Pluto retrograde into the sign of Capricorn in September. So this is the current chart. So we can see already what transpired, when this energy was concept. We know what transpired when this energy was illuminated, especially with this Pluto conjunction, to the sun, closing phase in this case, as I mentioned, and these squares, and all the rest of it still pointing to the South Node. Yeah, pay attention, where did we externalize the power, all the rest of it. And now we are in a present moment, well, not present moment when I'm recording this, but the present lunation. We can see here for England, GB time, it is 12:12. So right after the midday, and this is August 4th, which is 4/8. As I already mentioned at the beginning of the video, the eclipse that changed everything was 8/4. 8th of April. So this is significant, very significant. And again, when we adding up the numbers, 12, 3, 3, and also this lunation is happening on, where is the moon? And 12, 3, and 3, 3. All these threes. It's all about expansion, collaboration, co-creation. And it is this empress, like we are our own empress. You have everything you need to create the reality you want to be experiencing. It's just a matter of a choice, do I choose to believe it or not? And this is how it operates. This universe is mental. It's one of the hermetic laws. It says like, oh, it all starts from the thought. Whatever we believe, whatever we think and then believe, we then manifest and experience the result of this belief manifested in front of us as the feedback mechanism that then allows us to change the thought if we no longer wish to experience the same manifestation. So as we can see, as I already mentioned, everything that I talked about that will be happening prior to this is actually present in this chart. We actually can see Mars and Jupiter are coming into their conjunction, which is becoming exact on the 14th, but it's already valid. So Mars is close into Jupiter. Mars is the ruler of the North Node. Jupiter is ruled by Mercury. Mercury still at this time is in the sign of Virgo. We can see 4-4, all these master number frequencies, and 4 is the number of Saturn. 4-4 is 8, which is the year we are at. 4-4, discerning. Last year we had the conception of the previous new moon. Both Mercury and Mars were in the sign of Virgo. And we can see some freeze here, 22 degrees, 19 degrees, which is the, card of the sun in the tarot. And that's up to number 10, which is the ending. 1 and 3 is again 4, 2 is 4, and 5 and 3 is 8. I mean, you can't make this shit up, can you? It's all the same repeating theme, which is saying about we are creating a new structure of reality, a new stability for our future, future versions of ourselves, even though, yes, of course, nothing is linear, and these versions of ourselves already exist in different timeline, and everything that already happened still exists in different timeline, right? But this would be going into different rabbit holes again, but we can see how everything is building up on everything else. So now we have Venus, just about to move into the sign of Virgo. As I mentioned, she's on the final degree of Leo. And what can we see again? 2, 9, 11, master number frequency, 1, 3, number 4 again, and actually number 13 is the death card. Let's just face it. It's all about transformation. And also the number 12 is the hanged man in a tarot, which is about shift of perception, shift of perspective. And we can see this clearly here, with this Jupiter-Mars conjunction in the Gemini, which is saying that what it really takes is shifting of the mindset. The mind, we have to neutralize our mind. We need to be able to, just like with the tarot card, the, strength card, this being over the Leon, we have to take charge of our ego mind, because otherwise it will keep running rampant and co-creating and recreating, the same reality that we experience for thousands and thousands of years. And this is not the time for it anymore. This is not the lifetime for it anymore. This is a lifetime when we came here to wrap up these patterns. These patterns are now obsolete. We don't need to repeat the same patterns. There was enough suffering already, enough sacrifice. We don't need to do this anymore. Now we are entering the age of Aquarius properly, with Pluto still in the sign of Aquarius at this stage, retrograde, on 34 minutes, which is number 7, the 7 of cups. What are we choosing, right? Number 7 associated with Neptune in tarot is the number of chariot, card of chariot, which is about, do we have the control over our conscious and subconscious mind or not? Which one is running the show, right? So what else can we see over here? So actually, I should have started with the moon itself, shouldn't I? So we have actually the North Node trining this moon, because the exact trine, as I already mentioned, between Sun and the North Node is happening on July 31st. So, in this upcoming week, just before we enter into the month of August, Sun is making the trine to North Node. As I said, the conjunction between the two happened on 4-4 portal. Again, 4 and 4 is 8, so we have all these repeated numbers. It's just like the numerologies of the roof. So we can see that North Node is still trining this new moon. So what does this mean? This means that whatever is being concepted over here is being supported. There is no more conjunction for Pluto, or Pluto causing some kind of havoc, at the time of that new moon, the last one. Where is Pluto over here? Pluto was still not affecting it in any way. Capricorn, yeah, is not even in conjunction, but Pluto was square in the nodes. That's good. That was good for us, wasn't it? Like at least we had the 1 year to figure things out. But anyway, yeah, Pluto is not participating in any way with this moon, but Pluto is trining Uranus, and Pluto is also sextiling Neptune. They still have this nice roof going on. I think actually that was going on last year as well, wasn't it? Let's just see in a real time. Pluto, Uranus, Neptune. Where is Uranus? Yes. That was, well, Uranus. And it was actually still sextile as well. I'm not quite sure why this system. So yeah, so that was still ongoing, and we kind of had a kite, didn't we? But I don't know why this leg is not showing. So either way, Pluto is still hanging on there. At the time, actually, Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn. Now Pluto is already in the sign of Aquarius, still in the sign of Aquarius, because Pluto was there for a little bit longer this time than last year. And this roof of the kite is still present, even though the kite is not fully formed yet. But it is already present, and this is supporting us. What is being supported, actually, we can just see, with this first trine between Uranus and Pluto. This is the Leo flavor, which is about, it's time to step into your purpose. This Taurus, what did you bring here as your offering to the world? And it's 11:47. I started recording 11:11. Now it's 11:47, which is 11:11 again. I mean, come on. So this Pluto trining Uranus, which is a Leo flavor, it's saying, now it's time to step into this purpose that we came here to self-actualize through, your unique soul signature, which nobody has the same offering as you. Even if you have 10 astrologers next to each other, nobody's going to do the reading exactly the same way as the other person. If you have 10 chefs next to each other and, they're all going to bake the same cake, it is not going to be the same cake, because it's that person essence going into it. It's just like, and we know that if somebody is, for example, cooking and it's not the person is in a sorrow or it's angry or something, all this is going into the food. All this is going into the food. So so two people creating the same thing, it's not going to be the same thing, because we put in our signature in there, our energy in there, and our energetic imprint. So with this Uranus in Taurus over here, and by this point Venus is ending with Leo, final degree of the Leo, which is actually Aries decan, right? This moon is happening on Sagittarius decan, which is connected to this Jupiter. Aries decan, this is where this Chiron is. And as I said, Venus is still trining Chiron. She's still trining Chiron, even though it is now, like, what do you call it, disseminating or something? I don't know what is it called in traditional astrology, but when you are moving away from the aspect, but it is still valid. It is still valid, and also this Mercury and Chiron, they had a trine. Now it's a little bit too far, it's more than 10 degrees, but they're going to have 2 more trines, because Mercury is going to go back into Leo. They had the first one on the 22nd of July, which was the day when Sun moved into the sign of Leo, and they're going to have 2 more. So as we know, Mercury and Chiron over here, they have a love story going on, because they had 3 conjunction during the Aries season, during which time Mercury again was retrograde in Aries, which was saying about change of mindset. Mars is in Gemini, change of mindset. We have to start perceiving things differently. We know about this because Mercury was in a sign of Aries where we had the eclipse, right? So this Venus making a trine to Chiron from 29 degrees, anaretic degree, 29 degrees, very important. And this is the Aries decan, which is saying that we are coming into our step. We are invited to step into our purpose, which to us might feel new, but it's not new, because it's 29 degrees. This is what we always came here for. This is what we always came here for. We just were, distracted by all these other people's stories and opinion and structure of the society and how everything works, and being told you can't do that, you can't be that, because all of these stories, right? So this Venus is trying Chiron and says, why not? Let's look at that wounding with Chiron retrograde. Let's look at it. Let's pay attention to it. What is this about? Mercury is in Virgo, technically, out of sign, out of degree, but still, they have these 3 trines between them, the 2 more yet to come. And this is Virgo, which is about discerning. Mercury in Virgo is the ruler of Jupiter and Mars conjunction, discernment. Mars was in the sign of Virgo, and so was Mercury last year when we had the last new moon. It's about discernment. Let's discern. Let's be practical, but not just practical from the point of like, oh yeah, does it make sense? But actually, how has life showed you? How have you proved yourself that you can actually do much more that you were being told that you can, because whatever took place in your life, whatever you have to gone through to get to this point, if you are still listening to this video, you survive 100% of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, right? So the stories of limitation we were being told by the external environment that again didn't know any better. These people were being told the same stories. It goes far back, a long time ago, you know. So, you know, Saturn is in Pisces, Neptune is in Pisces. We are transmuting and transcending a conditioning that goes back in time thousands and thousands of years. So don't take it don't take it personally if you won't take it personally, but it is not personal. You know, it is not just about individual, like, oh my god, you know, all my mistakes and, you know, all this shame and guilt I feel and inferiority. It is not just one person. This is a thing that we all carry as a human collective consciousness, and we all signed up, you know, before incarnation to be incarnate at this time of, you know, human collective evolution. We all signed up for transmuting that and transcending that energy. So whichever way it's showing up in your life, trust me, it's showing up in some way in somebody else's life too. You know, details of the situation might be different, but the energy would be the same, you know, because this, like, we are stepping into the collective evolution consciously, because Mars is now in Gemini. You know, Mars already trined Pluto by this stage. They are still within the degree of the trine. But the first thing Mars did when entered into the sign of Gemini, just like everybody else when they were entering into the sign of Gemini previously, because Mars is closing the gap, trine Pluto. And Pluto is still retrograde. And it's saying we are really deepening this understanding, because retrograde takes you inwards and Aquarius is about going beyond. So we need to go within in order to go beyond, right? Even though that might make not like sense, it might make no sense actually logical mind. You know, it's kind of like sometimes even the things that, you know, like when I'm doing my reading for the clients, and sometimes the things that come through and my ego tries to hold on to it and analyze it and go like, well, how does this make sense? This doesn't make sense, you know. And I'm like, no, it won't make sense to logical mind, you know, it will not, because we're going beyond, because we now operate. Mercury is operating under the frequency of his first conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius. So is Mars, so is Venus. These planets are not operating on the same frequency as they were previously while they were conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn. Sun still is yet to have a conjunction with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius next year, because this year it was still in the sign of Capricorn, and that point just got reactivated now with the second full moon in Capricorn, the number 2 on 29 degrees. And also Pluto will be dancing over the degree when it goes back into Capricorn for its final year retrograde. But anyway, what else is going on here? We can see this this new moon in Leo is actually supported by this Mars-Jupiter conjunction, which is saying it's time to expand. It's time to expand our consciousness and, you know, widen our mindset and try something different and look at situation differently. And with this Uranus that actually is still square in Venus, of course it is, but it's also still square in Mercury, even though the exact square between Venus and Uranus was on a second, well, by this point was, at the time of me recording, it's still going to happen. Uranus square to Venus 2nd of August, and Uranus square to Mercury was exact on the 21st of July. And also they are going to have 3 squares. So Mercury is going to have 3 trines with Chiron, but 3 squares with Uranus. The first one already took place on 21st of July, which was the Capricorn full moon number 2. And Mercury is going to square Uranus 2 more times. The second time will be on the 18th of August, which will be right before full moon in Aquarius, which is actually a very, very, you know, interesting day, let's just say. And then the final one will be on September 7th, which will be when Mercury is back direct, and that will be right after the new moon in Virgo. Again, Virgo, you know, adjustments have to be made. And I'm also having here that Jupiter is trine in South Node. Let's see, South Node. Yes, they are still within the degree. Yeah, because Mars is still sextile in North Node and trine in South Node, and so is Jupiter, of course, because Jupiter is, you know, conjunct in Mars, of course it is. So yeah, the exact trine between South Node and Jupiter was on July 7th, which was right after the new moon in Cancer. Oh, and yeah, let's not forget Saturn. Let's not forget Saturn. Yes, because, you know, as we mentioned, Jupiter and Mars are going to have conjunction, which will be squared actually by Saturn retrograde. And the exact square between Jupiter and Saturn is taking place on on August 19th, which is, you know, full moon in Aquarius. Like I said, it will be a loaded day. Apart from the full moon itself, there will be a lot of aspects taking place. And also Saturn square to Mars is happening on August 16th, which is right before the full moon in Aquarius. So yeah, that's for, you know, the next conversation with the next lunation. But yeah, that will be an interesting day. So Saturn is squaring this conjunction, let's just say. And what does that mean? Well, this is with regards to both Jupiter and Mars. This is the first quarter square to Saturn. And first quarter square is crisis in action. So what needs to change? Well, the Saturn is in Pisces and Saturn is retrograde. It's taking us inwards and helping us to again understand. This is about internal processing. What everything now lost meaning because we see the totality of manifestation of all the thoughts thought before that created the reality we are experiencing at the present moment. Everything that is in manifestation right here, right now, at some point in the past was a thought that then became manifest because somebody had a vision. So, for example, I'm just looking at the tree outside of where I'm sitting, and there is a tree, right? So I go like, okay, well, there is a tree there, you know, and yeah, we can say like, well, maybe just the wind blow the seed there and the tree grow. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a residential area. Maybe somebody just decided, oh, I have a vision. I want a tree in front of my house. Okay, let me plant the seed, right? Whichever way that play out, but whether it was a vision of the universe saying, oh, I would like to have a tree grow in there, or whether it was a human that had the idea that came from the source, because everything is connected, guys. You know, it's not like it's all in separation, right? And that person, the human, decided, I would like a tree in front of my house. Let me go and plant it. So every single thing you see manifested in front of you, including my laptop, which I'm just speaking to right now, was a thought. And some point it was somebody's thought, and that thought had to be backed up by a belief and a vision. Pisces, you know, vision, to bring it from the invisible to the visible, which is the Capricorn, the manifestation, you know, the tangible form. Saturn is in Pisces. It's giving us the opportunity to let go of the thoughts which we no longer wish to manifest, which is like this lack mentality, not good enough, or they said I can't sing, so I can't, you know, because obviously somebody else knows better. Well, why? And what does it even mean? You know, you sing well or you don't sing well. You know, it's somebody's opinion, it's somebody's belief system. You know, for example, let me tell you a very good example. I love, and I'm, you know, I think I mention it on occasions, I love the artist Milan Moritz. She channels angelic music, angelic frequency. It's a very high tone in most cases, high pitched so-called music, you know, of a very high frequency. I love it. It relaxes me. I'm not saying it's better or worse, good or bad or whatever. My mother, she hates that music. Every time I'm staying with my parents and I listen to this when I'm showering, you know, like a full disclosure, personal detail over here, my mother hates it. She said that it feels like she wants to go scratching on a blackboard and it drives her insane. And then, you know, we have other things, like, for example, me and my aversion to Mexican music. You know, this is something that other people enjoy. There is no such a thing. You know, we can argue here all day long about people's opinions and belief systems, their subjective perception of reality. When they say, what you talking about? This is a great music. And I will go, well, I don't like it. And then I will go, I love this music. And the other person go, I hate it. Don't listen to it. It drives me insane. You know, so this is what I mean. You know, there is no one version of the truth. So, you know, we have the choice to decide, like, okay, what do I want it to be my truth? And now, like, okay, if this person is bothered by this, where can I go, you know, listen to it where, you know, I'm not bothering other people, but also it's a mutual respect, where if somebody else is listening to something I don't like, you know, we have choice. We can either walk away or we can have a polite conversation and say, hey, can you use headphones or tune it down or something, you know? And this is what makes us human, learning. You human, learning to get on, you know. So how this all connects to Leo new moon, you know, you might be asking, what is she on about? You know, like she's going on about all these things, and how is this relating to Leo new moon? Well, Leo new moon is all about your authentic expression. whatever it is, whatever food you like, whatever color you like, whatever music you like, whatever you like doing in your spare time. Do you like watching Netflix? Do you like just meditating? Do you like just lying on a bed doing nothing? Do you like going for a walk? Whatever you like doing, whatever it gives you the sense of peace in your heart, the sense of neutrality. That is your Leo. That is your self expression. That is helping you to understand your purpose. What are you here to do? Just like people who are artists, singers, dancers, whatever, even though everything is art, everything is creative expression, whether you like this video or not, just me making it, this is my creative expression. Again, it doesn't mean people will like it and they are entitled to their opinion. Well, I enjoy doing it, even if I'm just doing it for myself, which I really do hope that somebody else enjoys it too. But it doesn't matter. It's not about what somebody else thinks. It's not about this Libra anymore. It's not about, if I don't look certain way and speak certain way and I don't have the right technology around me to make things look perfect, right, Virgo? Because I know for many people this is what stops them in their track, like, oh, it's not perfect yet, I don't know enough, I don't look perfect, this is not perfect, that is not perfect, so I'm not ready. It will never be ready. It will never be perfect, because perfection doesn't exist, because there will be always more to learn, there will be always more to adjust, there will be always more opinions of something external of you that will say why that which you are doing and how you are expressing it is not perfect. And this is life, because this is Virgo, is this continuous desire for growth, towards self-mastery, this continuous learning and changing of the pattern, especially now with this Uranus. This Uranus still making a square to both Venus and, Mercury. Crisis in action. What do we need to change? We need to discern for ourselves, Virgo, discernment, and Leo, for yourself. Your creativity, your authenticity, your inner voice, also is the inner child, which again, I can tell million examples, and I'm sure many people will resonate. If you just work, and always put it aside, like, oh, I don't have time to read my book, I don't have time to go for a walk, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, I have a lot of work to do. And then you get to the point when you get so angry and frustrated and just start snapping at everyone, because it's your inner child kicking a fuss and going like, what about me? When am I getting time to play? Hello, hello, anybody there? We didn't come here just to work. We didn't come here to sacrifice. This is not a Pisces age. It is not required for survival. And actually, we can see the people that are the happiest in the world, regardless of their financial situation, even though of course that's helpful because we live in the reality we are living in, and like having financial abundance is helpful, but it's not all there is. But people who actually are really happy, whether they have money or not, but if they do, then that has a opportunity to make things easier, are the ones that do what they love. That is the bottom line, and it doesn't matter what that is, and it doesn't matter what somebody else thinks about it. There are even people who love plumbing, like doing these kind of things. They love it, not my thing, but there are people who enjoy it, and who am I to judge what people should be doing or what they should be self-actualizing through that makes them happy? Good for them. So this is what I mean. So we are not being told that, oh, go out there and ask someone else what you should do to make you happy. No, this is about the Leo, new moon in Leo, where we have a very different energy from the new moon in Leo last year, especially with the square from Uranus to the moon. Now the Uranus is squaring Venus, and Venus is the rule of the south node, which is still at this time in the sign of Libra, trining the Mars Jupiter conjunction. And they are in Gemini. They're talking about the choice. We know Pluto on a new moon in Capricorn number 2 at the end of this year. Pluto will be also trining South Node in Libra from the sign of Aquarius. Now we have the South Node trining Mars from the sign of Gemini. We are all invited to make a choice, and this choice holds the potential to liberate you. It doesn't mean that now you will have no more problems in your life and everything will be smooth and easy and dandy, but it just means that we have the opportunity to take our power back from the external to influence our internal. It's all about the neutralization, which actually here we have no opposition. But, this is actually where we find that inner peace. from our inner world, not the outer world. And I can talk stories about, you know, how my outer world is not playing by my rules and making things easy for me to do things that I want, when I want, how I want. But the external world will do what it does. It will never be perfect, and it will never be exactly what we want it to be. And if we are waiting for it to become that, and then I'll be happy, if everything that I want will be out there manifested, only then I'll be happy, then we will never be happy, because we'll be always just connected to the frequency of dissatisfaction and going like, oh, well, you know, this is not perfect yet, so, you know, I'll wait to be happy until it is. We'll be waiting a long time. So, you know, with this new moon in Leo being ruled by the sun and being still trined by the north node, and you know, the north node, I mean, the Neptune is quite far away, but not, Neptune and north node are coming into conjunction, and they are going to have a conjunction. Let me see if I got it here, on February 8th in Pisces on 28 degrees and 9 minutes. February 8th, just like Chiron had a conjunction with North Node last year in February. Now we're going to have a North Node conjuncting Neptune in February, which is still Aquarius season, if I'm correct, right? Aquarius season, of course it is. Aquarius season. Pluto in Aquarius, right? And this is going to be about the release, you know, when the nodes shift in January into Pisces and Virgo. It will be the opportunity to put it into practice, everything we learned, and let it go, because the new cycle had already begun. You know, there is no waiting for until. It's all happening at the same time, and we can see it happening. So, I mean, I'm just saying what comes to my mind, and I don't even know how much I'm caught up to this chart. But really, that's what this chart is about. You know, like, even when we, you know, yeah, we can look at all these transits and, you know, how they support each other, but it doesn't even matter. You know, it doesn't even matter. Is it a square? Is it a trine? What matters is how we use this energy. Like the trines, yes, the support is there 100%. You know, the support's been there all along. We know that this roof, you know, this trine between Pluto and Uranus, and the sextile from both to Neptune, that was already there last year, you know, during the new moon in Leo, the previous one, which is where the cycle began. Now the cycle had ended. Now we start in a new cycle. And then we will have, again, full moon in Leo next year, and a new moon in Leo next year. And that's how it goes, you know, it's this continuous spiral of evolution. But things change, things moved. Now North Node is in a new phase to Chiron. Chiron is trining Venus. Chiron is trining Mercury 3 times. It's saying we need to make this choice, you know, we need to tap into our heart to discover for ourselves, no longer to look up to this someone else. You know, this South Node is trining this Jupiter Mars, and Jupiter already is in a new phase with Uranus. So is Mars. They're both in a new phase with Uranus. They say you have what you need within you to be able to make the choice for yourself, because you've gone through this so many times before. We can just look at this life alone, how much we've all gone through. I mean, I don't assume any of you watching, if you're still watching, is a child. So any of you had gone through a lot in this lifetime alone. But this is not just about this lifetime. This is not just about this lifetime. This is not just about this singular identity that we identify ourselves through in this one incarnation. It's the totality. Saturn is in Pisces, it's the totality. It's everything that ever was before. And even you, as you exist now with your current name, you are a composite of everyone that came before you, all your past incarnation, all your past ancestors, and also the collective imprint that was projected onto them during the time they were alive, all these beings, you know, and it's all of it, you know, it's all of it. It's the 29 degrees. Venus on 29 degrees, Neptune on 29 degrees. We actually have the yacht here. What between Venus, yeah, and these two have sextile. Yeah, there is a yacht between Pluto, Venus, and Neptune, right? Neptune, yes, 29, Aquarius, opposition between Leo, and let's see, opposition between Venus and, yes, because this is almost 29 Capricorn. Yes, there is a yacht between Venus, Pluto, and Neptune. So Pluto in Aquarius is retrograde, saying we're going beyond, but we are on 0 degrees, in other analytic degrees. 0 degrees, which is saying is up to you. You know, you are the magician, you start in a fool's journey, you know, you decide how that's going to play out for you. You know, this Pluto is trining Uranus. Mars is in a new phase. You know, Mars already trined Pluto. It's still within a degree, 9 degrees. You know, therefore, it's connected to Jupiter. Jupiter is still trining Pluto, even though it's out of degree, but never mind. You know, it's connected to Mars. Mars is still trining Pluto. It's about the choice. But we can't see, because nobody's going to give you the blueprint. Nobody's going to give you the manual and see this is how you do it, because you need to discover it for yourself. You know, it's the Leo. It's your unique, authentic expression. Nobody can tell you what it's going to look like and how it's going to feel like for you. You know, what is going to give you the sense of meaning going forward when you manifest the life that you consciously want to manifest as a creation of your desires, Pluto, the desire for incarnation. Nobody knows what it's going to look like or feel like, because it's your creation. And with the Neptune in Pisces, 29 degrees, 38 minutes, 11:11. I mean, come on. And it's 12:11 right now. 11:11 again. I'm like, you can't make this up. These numbers, it's like insane, you know? And it's again saying the same thing, 29 degrees, 38 minutes, 29 degrees retrograde, saying don't look at the past, learn from the past, but don't necessarily use it as a, you know, this support, you know, like use it as a support for, this is what I do want or don't want, this is what I enjoy or didn't enjoy, but don't look at to find a meaning in it. You know, this is maxed out. 29 degrees maxed out. You know, the 29 degrees Pisces, 29 degrees Pisces age, 29 degrees of everything that came before, it is maxed out. Yes, Neptune is going to go back and forth, Pisces, Aries, until 2026, which is the time when we have the nodes in Pisces and Virgo. You know, and then things are going to shift in 2026 when also the nodes will move into Aries and not Aries, Leo and Aquarius, and there will be a conjunction between Pluto and North Node in Aquarius. I mean, seriously, like this is this is like I mean, it's not serious. Obviously, spirit has a sense of humor, but I mean, this is a serious stuff. You know, we are literally like at the embarking on a brand new journey of a brand new life in a brand new world, and even the way the humans are, how they think, how they act, how they operate, how they look, and all the rest of it, it will completely change. Completely change. We can already see the new kids, Pluto Capricorns, how they are so different. Already Pluto Sagittarius is, you know, even though they are the one that are changing the patterns, so they are like, oh my God, I don't know if I belong in this world. But these Pluto Capricorns, they don't question it. They don't go like, oh, I don't know if I belong in this world. You know, most of their go like, I am here for a purpose. These are my boundaries. I'm going ahead. You know, that's it. You know, so I mean, this is crazy stuff. You know, and in conjunction is always a blind spot pointing to the Venus, 29 degrees of Leo, which is the Aries decan, which is saying like nobody can tell you what it is. Nobody can tell you, because everybody is just playing out their old wounds. You see, like with the trine to Chiron, you know, people are still so connected to their old wounds, but we all have a choice to decide. Do I want the past to define me, or do I want to define my future and learn from the past? See the something, look back at it and see as a learning opportunity and go like, oh yeah, thank you. You know, this Jupiter is going to square Neptune soon. And this is a first quarter square. Again, what are we releasing? Also, Mars is going to square Neptune. What are we releasing? What do we need to release? And it's the old way of thinking. It's the old mindset, because it's not connected to your authentic expression. It's connected to the ego. It's connected to the wounded inner child, the narcissistic tendencies that most of us carry because of the wounded inner child. Because this is what comes from the ego mind, is the need to protect you, because the ego needs to survive. So then ego will always find the proof why you are right and the other person wrong, which creates more division and separation in the world. And why people go into war with one another, because they are at the war with themselves. Because in many cases, there are many things that we say to people to prove our point, and then we don't feel good about it. It's not like we won, you know, we still feel like, you know, this bad taste in our mouth, like, oh, I heard that person, or, you know, I took from that person, or whatever I did, you know. And this is the thing, every time we do something to hurt another, we don't really feel that great about it. You know, I mean, look at all these people coming home from war. None of them is really, really happy about, you know, everything that's gone on there and what they've seen and experienced, because it's not in alignment with who we really are. It is not who we are, you know, with this Leo. It is not part of the child, you know, the child that came into this world before it was projected all these things, unhealed wound onto. Like you put two kids next to each other, little kids, they don't care if what color they are, what language they speak, what religion, what is their ancestors. They don't care. They don't care. If you put little kids next to each other, some little toddlers, they do not care. They do not care what is the story behind that person, behind the ancestor. They don't care, because they just came from the source, and all they remember is the unity consciousness, how we are all part of something. And this is what's coming online, with this new moon in Leo, where the heart is coming online because it wants to connect. It's the North Node in Aries. Like, yes, in many times it will mean disconnect to reconnect, going in your own direction in order to find who are your people. There is still this it's already coming towards it. The trine between Pluto and South Node and sextile towards the North Node is already becoming closer, even though, it's still 8-degree orb, which is too much for a sextile. But sometimes this is what we need to do. We need to disconnect to reconnect. We need to make the choice to figure it out for ourselves, to discern, to go within, introspect, and decide for yourself what is the right path for me, what would make me happy, who are my people, and then we can reconnect with the people who actually are there to play a different role to just the role of the teacher, to show you what it is that you need to let go of, right? Because we attract two different type of people. The people that teach us the hard lessons, the less comfortable lessons, which is usually, our parents and the people closest to us. And then there are the people, once we learn, like our self-worth, our value, and learn to put boundaries and step up for ourselves and protect the child within, we start attracting people that we resonate with and connect with, or people that motivate and inspire us and stuff. Doesn't mean that it's all hunky-dory from then onwards. Universe will always test us, but still, So yeah, so it's about this stepping into your authentic expression, so you can actually follow the path that is unique to you, that you came here to follow, that you came here to live. I mean, it is kind of almost opposition, isn't it? But it's still, Pluto is 0 degrees. It's not quite within the orb, so it's not catching it up. But with Pluto, sometimes we allow 15 degrees. So either way, we know we had the Sun Pluto opposition right after Sun moved into the sign of Leo on the 23rd. And this is about the balancing. What have we discovered since the beginning of the year, as if nothing else? What did we discover that is still out of alignment, that needs to be adjusted, needs to be released, needs to be let go of, needs to understand the meaning of the things? And with the Uranus, breaking free from the comfort zone and that which is known, because it guaranteed survival, which is embedded in our carbon DNA, that we will always try to make the choices that will help us to survive, that will help the ego and the body to survive. But how can it be done in a different way? This Venus here, 29 degrees in Leo, like that is a purpose that it's coming from your heart, which is a new direction, and the trine to Chiron, which is something that is going to heal that which we came here to heal, this inability to to individuate and go on the path of self-discovery, this Aries. And again, this Mars in Gemini. What are we choosing? Because we do have a choice. And Gemini in a new phase with Uranus, we're creating a new story, and it's going to look different for different people, because we all gone through different lessons, and they are going to support or influence us depending whichever vibration of Virgo you use, whether it's the critical one or whether it's the discerning one, the one that is of a higher vibration, that says that I came here to be of a service, but how can I be of a service if I don't even know what I can offer, or I don't value what I can offer because I don't value myself, because somebody told me I can or can't do that, or something. So anyway, so there are so many nuances and so many, and I don't even know how long I've been talking, but I think it's been long. So I'm going to leave it at that because I think that I've spoken enough about this new moon in Leo. And again, you know, Mars is in Gemini. It's going to mean different things to different people. Mars is the rule of the North Node. North Node is trine in it, is Aries. And this is the thing. You know, it doesn't have to be the same interpretation for everyone. It literally is going to mean to you whatever it's supposed to mean to you, whatever connects with your heart, you know, because the North Node already is within a conjunction degree with the Neptune. Whatever holds a meaning to you, whatever you need to learn and understand from this energy, and however it wants to manifest in your life, because this is the Aquarian age, which is about individuation and authenticity. And it's about choosing your own timeline, and then you will connect with the people who are on the same timeline. It's not right or wrong or anything. There are no labels. It just means that we no longer have to sacrifice who we really are in order to just fit in anywhere, you know, wherever, just in order to fit in, because we need the connection. This is about connecting, co-creating, and creating consciously, you know, which is, of course, the conscious relationships are part of that. But that's again for another video. So anyway, guys, I'm going to close this share. I'm gonna pull some cards and we're gonna close with that. But you know, there are so many layers to all of this astrology, so many layers. And like I previously mentioned, especially with the new moon in Gemini, the way that we've been learned to interpret astrology is very limiting. It's very limiting because there is so many depths and rabbit hole we can go into, and there is not just one interpretation or one way to experience anything. And it's 1221, which is the 3-3, you know, like, I mean, come on. Okay, universe, I hear you. Let's go. Let's do Queen of the Moon. Let's see what is the overarching energy of this Leo new moon. Okay, let's see. Okay, Leo new moon, what do you have for us? Okay, there's a card poking out straight away. Growth. That's the one we had last time. Oh, growth, growing pain. We're going through growth. Okay, the camera is not great. I'm sorry about that, but I hope you can see it. It's a person on planet Earth, and it's number 5, the number of change, right? And it is the waxing crescent, which is the Taurus. We had oh, and yeah, she's holding the clock, which you probably won't be able to see with this camera, but anyway, here we go. There is the clock, and yeah, growth. Yeah, we're still going through it, you know. What's at the bottom? The void. Yes, the one the one before the new moon, void. This is literally the energy before the new moon. This is a number 1, the void, you know, where we are entering into something that we not yet can see. It's right before the new moon when it's the darkest. Okay, let's see some of this, you know, like remind ourselves some of this description. But yeah, we're going through growth because we are in this stage. And especially this is a new moon in Leo. Leo is all about creativity. And it's a new moon. We can't see. We can't see it. But it's a new direction. Number 1, we are beginning anew. For sure we are. For sure we are. The moon is being trined by North Node. For sure we are. Yep. And the next thing is going to be the full moon in Aquarius. Stay tuned. Okay, we know the growth. I already read it last time. And, you know, just a few words: reject stagnancy, get unstuck, take action. The choice to grow should be made. Expect growing pains when making huge changes in your life. Change is natural part of life and cannot be pushed against forever. Change should have aim and purpose. Be courageous and you will blossom. And the affirmation, I choose growth. Yeah. Having a strong intention on what the result of your growth will be helps with gaining the courage and resilience to move forward with our growth and into the eventual blossoming of the true self. And the companion stone was Chariot, which is the crown chakra, third crown chakra. Okay, so yeah, growth. We're all going through it, and it will continue because this is just the beginning. And the number 1, the dark moon void. We are at the beginning of something we can not yet see, you know, and the figure is naked, starting from the scratch. Your time to rest and reset is here. Release all that does not serve you. Stop resisting. The void is the time of possibility, not just darkness. There is nothing to fear in letting go of negative patterns and habit, so let go of the old. And the affirmation is, I freely release what I no longer need. And then is while the full moon full attractive power gets all the publicity, the dark moon, which offers the infinite possibilities of a clean slate, yeah, there's a Pluto 0 degrees, is just as powerful in its own way. The dark moon often looks like just a darker piece of the night sky, and in some cultures, the way it appears harkens back to the idea of the void, where everything is possible. It is a place of unknowable secrets, a state of everything and nothing, or a place to prepare to or rest before moving on. To me personally, here is a relieving there is a relieving, restful quality about this darkest moon that allows pondering and decision about what we can jettison before making fresh plans for the new moon, which is the next day. If you find yourself resisting the dark moon, it is usually a clear sign that you are being stubborn about letting go of something that is old and not serving you in a positive way any longer. Often there is a fear or pattern that was created to protect you in some way. Those are the squares to Uranus. However, now it is outdated, yet you are still carrying it or acting it out. Know that this moon is powerful, but it is also incredibly gentle in a way that helps you unravel what actually is, so you can embrace the fresh start of tomorrow. Relax, reframe, and think about how much better your life will be without that bad habit, fear, or pattern. Get very clear about the possibilities of this transformation and what it will give you in a real terms. This is the power of the dark moon. It is the optimum time in the cycle to release the old and cut the cords of relationships and traumas that deserve no time and attention in your present. Companion stone is jet, which I believe used to be wood, right? It used to be tree. There we go. Okay, let's pull the portal card, Gateway of Light Activation Oracle, from Kyle Gray to see what portal is opening up for us. Let's see if our usual are popping up or we get a new one. Okay, card for the collective, please, with this new moon in Leo. New moon in Leo. Okay, there is a card for us. Let's see. Earth Star Activation. Anchoring, grounded action, Isis energy, and we have the Merkaba. Merkaba at the top. There we go. What is bottom? Orion activation. Supernova, recreation, renewal, rebirth by light. Gateway. Yeah, we're going to have a Lion's Gate, 888 portal. I mean, come on, only 4 days later, 888 portal. Orion activation and Earth Star activation. Yeah, very activating moon for sure. Okay, let's see. Earth Star activation. We start with that. Okay, that's the Isis with Merkaba. Anchoring grounded action Isis energy, the Earth Star chakra found around 6 to 12 inches, which is 15 to 30 centimeters below our feet, is the energetic portal that connects us directly with the soul wisdom of Mother Earth. It is our gateway to the underworld of the earth and space of sacred magic and mystery, where we will find a lot of tools, gifts, and skills and ancients that the ancients used to connect with the earth and her wisdom. The Egyptian goddess Isis appears on this card as our spiritual guide. She is a high priestess of stars who knows the importance of connecting with the underworld to stay grounded, aware, and manifest all that we need to grow. Following her footsteps by connecting to your Earth star. Anchor down and go digging within to find any parts of your magic, wisdom, and experiences you have pushed down both in this incarnation and in previous lifetimes. These tools could be helpful on the next phase of your journey. This is the 29 degrees Neptune that is sextile in Pluto, which is the Taurus sextile at the 29 degrees Neptune. Like I said, let's just see the blessings and the gifts of that which came before. The 29 degrees understand the meaning and take out the good things, but we don't need to keep recreating the pattern. The tools are already there. They are already there. We don't need to keep going through this suffering and sacrifice over and over and over again. We don't need to do that no more. Connect. Imagine deep roots from the soles of your feet penetrating the earth and anchoring round and giant copper crystal star. Visualize streams of consciousness moving up into your feet. Receive them, then listen deeply. Your message. When you draw this card, know your earth star has been activated and the wisdom you once ignored is finally being acknowledged. That's also 29 degrees Leo. Venus as the rule of the south node in Libra. All the wisdom of the ancestors is available to us. Don't look outside of yourself. Look within your heart. It all lives there. The rejected parts of yourself have now been rediscovered. That is the trine to Chiron. There is an opportunity for you to rediscover magic too, but stay firmly rooted in all of your endeavors. Let the earth hold and sustain you. Don't rush ahead. In fact, if you've been wondering if this is the time to move forward, know that it isn't. Stay put for the time being. Important information is about to be revealed, so wait and stay strong. This is a time of integration and rest rather than pushing forward. Great wisdom lies within you. Dive deep and find it and trust in yourself. You have more strength than you realize. And strength, Leo, yes. Now we might think like, okay, well, this is a Leo season, it's a time to take an action, but because Mars is in Gemini, I think this is a lot of mental process, mental choices, mental actions, and it's 12:31. I mean, come on. This is where we have the opportunity to shift our mindset, and this is actually the action we need to take. It's from the inside out. It goes back to the thought. The thought is what manifests the reality. So the action that needs to be taken is to reprogram our mind and take charge of our ego mind and use it for what is it meant to be useful for. What is it meant to be used for? Where is it useful? The survival. Don't cross the road. Don't put your fingers in a socket. But when it comes to expansion, it is not useful because it wants to stay stuck in the same place to how do you say, protect its identity. But it's all because it wants to protect us. It is just doing it the only way it knows how, which is now time to move beyond it, right? Orion activation. So that's the portal, the gate. Supernova recreation, renewal, rebirth by light. Orion is one of the best known constellations in the night sky. Its name is Greek for hunter, and its stars can be seen as the figure with the swords, accompanied by a dog, Sirius. At the center of the constellation, three stars, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka, appear in the belt-like formation. To the south of Orion's belt, there's a nebula that has revealed much about how stars and planetary systems are formed. The best way to describe this space is a star nursery. During a star's last evolutionary stages, it explodes into a supernova, which provides the perfect space for a new star to be born. The Orion constellation is home to a number of higher beings, many of whom are dedicated to the evolution of our planet. Even though the idea of the constellation being a hunter might make it seem highly masculine, its energies are in fact similar to those of the Lemurians, and its inhabitants therefore honor all beings. The beings of Orion are in fact sacred space holders who help all of those with star power and star potential to make the changes required to become the most ascended and aware form of themselves. Connect. Find Orion in the night sky and connect with its image online and say, great wise ones of Orion, thank you for supporting my recreation and renewal. I'm ready to shine like a star. Your message, all of your fears and setbacks are being stripped from your energy now. It is essential for your old weight of being to fall away and for you to go through a process of renewal in order to move forward. The old stories of your life aren't yours to live out or live up to. You are far greater than these limiting experiences. The beings of Orion are surrounding you now, and they see you as one of them, someone who has been born with the knowledge that they can live with great purpose and make real difference to the world, whether on a global scale or in particular corner of the planet. When you draw this card, you are being reminded that you have infinite star potential. Wow, if this is not the Leo new moon and the Lion's Gate portal, I really feel this is the Lion's Gate portal, the 888 portal. And I just was thinking, because obviously Mars is in a closing phase to Jupiter. They are going to have a conjunction. And this Mars-Jupiter conjunction, what was it doing? Let me just quickly have a look at the chart. Mars-Jupiter conjunction, squaring Mercury. Mars-Jupiter conjunction was sextiling the moon. This is a closing sextile. Yeah, I didn't even speak about that. Mars and Jupiter conjunction are sextiling this moon, and this is a closing sextile, which is the Aquarian flavor. It's about liberating ourselves. So I really feel, you see, the two simultaneously things that are happening at the same time. If this being reborn and stepping into your purpose, because we know that there was an identity reset with the new moon in Cancer, and it's no coincidence we have the same cards from the Queen of the Moon for full moon in Capricorn and new moon in Leo, because they are connected. We had the new moon in Capricorn and full moon in Leo at the beginning of the year. It's connected. It's about you are stepping into your purpose by becoming your own authority. We saw the illumination of the past, you know, the structure on which the reality we are experiencing now is built, and how that was suppressing the authentic expression of the soul. And like I said, you know, with the 29 degrees of Neptune, the wisdom of everything that came before you is available to you at this time to use to your, you know, not just your advantage, but to help you to self-actualize, to fulfill your purpose as a soul, what we came here to co-create the world, you know, together, this new earth. And, you know, with the closing phase between Mars and Jupiter, it is about releasing these old thought patterns that told us, especially with the Mercury in Virgo in the lower vibration, about what you can't do, you know, this criticism that you can't do it, is this Pisces age, we're not good enough, inferiority, lack, you know, also this shame and guilt, you know, about being something different to someone else. Somebody has to be the pattern changer. The people around you are not necessarily going to applaud you for being different, but this is what some of us came here to be the pattern changer, the so-called black sheep of the family, to change the pattern. And it's not comfortable, because there is a certain pattern that was established a long time ago that worked, and it had a purpose and meaning at the time, but evolution requires change. So even the things that at some point was the new thing, what worked at the time, are now, you know, like they are maxed out. It's maxed out. So the Mars closing to Jupiter and both making a sextile to this new moon in Leo, it's about liberation and releasing the old thoughts. Like I was saying before, the old thoughts that created the manifestation we are experiencing at the moment. And, you know, and the Chiron that is trined by Venus, and Venus is 29 degrees, Neptune is 29 degrees, and it is the yod which is pointing to Venus, which is saying that you, and Venus is on a Aries decan, that purpose is unique to you. You know, you are no longer here to continue somebody else's story or purpose. This is what's ending. Both Mars and Jupiter are in a new phase with Uranus. This is what's ending. There is a new cycle that's already been activated. Both of these cards are talking about activation. You are being fully rooted into the earth to fulfill your purpose, and everything that is in there, including the cosmos and the earth, both, you know, the cosmos and the earth, that as above and below are supporting us in creating this new step into your purpose. Okay, and at the bottom of the card is winking at us the Empress, the number 3 we were talking about. But let's see again, what is the last message from the major arcana with regards to these energies of the Leo new moon and subsequently the 888 portal gateway. Major arcana, the big secrets, okay. High Priestess. You know the answer. You need to tap within, you know, tap into your intuition. co-create with the spirit, number 2, you know, the conscious and the subconscious. You need to tap within, is the moon. You know, the answer is already within, and it's going to be different for different people because only you know what it means to you. It's Leo after all. It's not going to be the same for everyone. And of course, at the bottom we have the Sun card, 19, number 10, endings and new beginnings. Yes, the Sun is being reborn with its new moon in Leo. The childlike innocence, the rebirth, just like here, the supernova, renewal, rebirth, right? But the answer is within. It's not outside of you, it's within. You need to connect with your inner child, the innocence, the purity of the purpose you came here to complete. The red, the earth chakra. The earth chakra. You are a composite of everything that came before. The sun, you came here to shine your authentic light, to support the evolution of the planet in the new way, in a different way that is unique to you. Only you know. Okay, guys, I think, you know, it can't be any clearer. Cool. So let's just close this session. Thank you to all beings that were present for this recording. Thank you to my higher self, to my guides, and all the beings of light that supported the transmission of this message. Thank you, everyone, for listening, if you still are, and hanging with me. And, you know, no matter what the circumstances. And I hope that this was helpful and it offered some clarity. But like I said, you know, like the high priestess said, you know, the answers are within you. This new moon is going to mean different things to different people. Mars is in Gemini. You decide, right? So anyway, guys, much love to everyone. Have a great new moon in Leo. Remember to set your intentions. And until next time, bye for now.